finishes, I want to review the Mae Yon Noji. Excuse me, it doesn't matter what the opening technique is. So for now, we're here, we turn, execute, we throw ippon or whatever throw we were doing. Let's review that Mae Yon Noji, that wrist lock, hyperflexation that we covered last time. Most of us know this technique, but some of us had some, what I would maybe term as technical laziness. Meaning that we're executing this wrist lock in such a way that we're basically waiting for this person to do what? Tap, not to fight you. Which leads to some lazy habits that mainly revolve around lack of control with this elbow. So some of us are here, and the second we can lay a fingertip on our wrist or forearm, we think we've got it. Do not move that elbow if you can move it. Easily he's moving it. Dry your hand so that's not the excuse. This is your wrist, this is your hand. That's all right. How do you go? Easily. Yes. So what does this tell us? We want to execute this wrist lock. Our control mechanism actually has to revolve around the elbow. We have to lock this down because if he can twist, turn, drop, he will. So for those who are newer, we grab the hand here, focusing not on the fingers and not on the actual wrist, but right over the line of the knuckles. The other arm bends his arm, stabs his arm into you, making sure you don't fall back, and then you latch onto yourself. But that piece right here is the critical piece. Pull your elbow out now, please. Very wet. Very wet. Difficult. Is the wrist lock actually on, though? No. The wrist lock is not on. So I have a situation now where I've not in the kansetsu-waza, not in the joint lock sense, but I've locked in and framed his arm here. Now, activating the joint lock is the easy part. Just flexing his wrist, that's the easy part. But in a real fight, this guy's not sitting here just waiting for his training partner in the dojo to apply the technique, and he and I are just both waiting for him to tap. And then I go, oh, I know how to do a technique, I'm great. With real resistance, that's not going to work. So we have to account for controlling that elbow and eliminating space. If I grab here or here, but that elbow can't get out of here. My legs have to be ready and active to execute further control of him if necessary as well. Yes.
Would you say that the pressures are equal for you pulling back the elbow into you and then you pressing your stomach into the elbow?
Yeah, I think so. Because like a punch and a retraction, a push and a pull. If I'm too heavy on one, then his elbow is still moving. It's just moving attached to me. So I want to make sure that he's running into a wall here. Okay? But a lot of us, again, it's not that we don't know the technique. It's just, like I said, technical laziness, where we get away with doing stuff like this. You follow what I'm saying? And, maybe if I hit him a couple times and throw him, maybe I can get away with it. But I don't like maybe. We train very hard for maybes. So really, really wrap up that elbow and really feel like you have it. This way, if his hand is swaying and I slip, I still what? I still have that elbow come back and get it. As opposed to focused on the joint lock to get my partner to tap, and he's gone. He's out of there. If people feel pain and they can get out, they will get out. They will wiggle. They'll squirm. They'll fight. People are wiry, man. They're determined. So we have to set the conditions in such a way where we are eliminating or disincentivizing him from doing those things, because he gets punished even further if he tries. Yes.
My thing is when you throw him,
yes.
How do you change your hand?
So we're here. Kingeri. So I have hands on him right now. Okay? That hand formation can vary, but I have hands on him. The idea is And again, if I feel any squirminess, boom, I'll use these knees as striking techniques. But I'm going to have at least one hand on them at a time. Right now I have two. Right now I have one. Right now I have two. Right now I have one. And for the remainder, I now have two. Even though it's not literally my hand, I have him. And now it's like adding more hands in a sense. He's more involved and entrapped. But I don't want to have too much time or any time where it's just floating there.
My thing is, I do the other hand, the opposite side. It's not correct.
It's better if it's this one, but the truth is, it's better if it's this one for now, the hand closest to the belt for basic. Okay? But once it's actually locked in, it won't matter too much.
Just lock it in really good,
Yes,
right?
but I would prefer that you have the arm that's closest to the belt on his hand for now.
Okay.
There's always variation, but for now.
Plus.
So through him, maybe I hit, boom! Boom. But I always have at least a hand on him. Right? In transfer, not to get into too many, but in transfer, if I feel any, whatever, I'm going to make life miserable for him somewhere else as I go. Make sense? So we're not just going to kind of hand fight here the entire time. I'm here, maybe I drop this on the way in, make sense?
Yes.
But the real focus that I want you guys to have, of course, the pertains piece, the standing piece, but when we get to these kind of wrist restraints here, you cannot get lazy with this elbow control. This is great, but do you see the distance between my own forearm and my body?
Yes.
That's a heck of a sliding scale for him. So I want to really wrap that up. I'd rather get used to this, and if I have to ease up, then fine. But I don't want to be used to out here and just never get used to fully wrapping it up. Okay, that's a symptom of not practicing with people trying to actually fight your technique.